jump up and go teach. Again, Senator Gallegos.
Mr. Daly, you said you're working with the Houston Independent School District real close. Can you tell me what you're doing for them?
Yes. In Houston, the district is trying to take a close look to make sure these different activities that I'm talking about fit together. So we're trying to make sure, for instance, that if new teachers are being inducted into the district and the district has a standard for effectiveness, the induction process helps educate them about that, and that their early years development processes are aligned to that definition of effectiveness, and that the evaluation system that's put in place is something that the school administrators are well trained to use. So these activities aren't disjointed, different things that happen in a way that's totally, I guess, asynchronous.
Well, let me ask you this. You mentioned about taking risk.
Yes.
And let's say in Houston, on low-performing schools that have been identified, and those of them that are on the borderline of being taken over by the state, and some of the low-performing teachers that have been identified, and they're moving them out and they're bringing new teachers in. Would
Yes.
you use brand-new teachers or experienced teachers in that low-performing school?
I wouldn't look at the question that way. So,
No, wait a minute, I just asked you, because I want a yes or no.
neither.
Neither.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm going to look for new teachers or experienced teachers. I'd look for people that are a good fit for the job that school is doing. Some of them will be new teachers and some of them will be experienced, but using experience as a proxy is a very inaccurate way to make the decision.
Well, we're talking about low-performing schools here now. We're talking about on borderline, the risk of being taken over by the state. Would you put brand new teachers in there or experienced teachers to try to bring it back up?
I would absolutely not preclude the idea of putting new teachers in that school if they were well fit for it. If I'd screened them, talked to them, and I thought that they understood what they were getting into and were ready to work at it, absolutely I would put some new teachers in there. But I wouldn't make a decision like saying, I think only new teachers can be successful here.
Okay, going back to when you're saying taking risk, and I was going to ask the doctor this question. If you have a curriculum that you followed, let's say in other school districts and reorganization programs, and you've seen them where they failed in other school districts, say if you look at other school districts, and then all of a sudden that very same curriculum and that same reorganizational chart shows up in your school district. Okay, these and others that have failed in other school districts. When you say taking risk, would you take a risk with, let's say, my constituents, my taxpayers, on curriculums and reorganizational charts that have failed in other school districts, and all of a sudden it's on my doorstep? Would you take that risk?
Senator, I suspect you're asking me a question about your constituency that I need a little more context to answer.
You're telling me you work for Houston Independent School District. You should know.
Well, describe the plan for me. What plan is it?
Well, the plan is that Houston Independent School District going on. They have a reorganizational chart where they have a leader over high schools, they have a leader over middle schools, they have a leader over elementary schools, and then they have school improvement officers. Where the very same curriculum, and then you go into the Apollo 20 program, which is still, I'm open to that. I'm open to that program, but I'm talking about the whole reorganizational chart up to that level and the curriculum that is going on at HISD right now. And Madam Chair, I'm sorry I'm late because one of my school board members resigned, and we're looking for a candidate for that. Working under Terry Greer, I'd resign too if she did. But what I'm saying is that. I represent taxpayers.
Yes.
Okay? I represent taxpayers on curriculums and programs that have failed in other school districts.
Could you describe the failure for me?
Well, we're talking about like the William Sanders plan, and also in Guilford and in San Diego, they had the same plan that I'm talking to you about. The three levels. They had the three levels. The school improvement officers. No, they completely scrapped them because they said it doesn't work and it costs too much money in Guilford and in San Diego. Now it shows up at our doorstep. Okay, you see what I'm saying?
I think I understand the gist of it. I think here's the way I would look at school improvement. The way that you're going to make a school better is by creating a collection of teachers that are very effective that have a common definition of where they're trying to go and that are carefully picked to be part of that school team and letting them do their work. I can't tell you whether or not the approach that you're describing is that or not because I don't think I'm familiar enough with it, but there are lots of different ways to get there. There is almost no way to make a school better without paying a lot of attention to the effectiveness of the teachers and making sure that you've got the right group with the right mission.
I understand that, but when you represent a bunch of people that are paying a lot of money, and you already have report cards from other school districts that have basically saying that this thing doesn't work, and it shows up at your doorstep, I got to make I understand what you're telling me, but I've got to make a decision too on do I tell my taxpayers and my constituents in my district that pay for this new program, are they getting am I getting the right stuff for the right buck?
Let me give you this advice. I would say it's almost certain that the organizational chart that you described is not the relevant thing here. I think what's going to matter is, are they able to get real information about the effectiveness of teachers in the district and put an evaluation process and a development process in place, and then a selection process for these new schools? You could do that with one organizational chart or another, and I think you could get good and bad results depending on how well you do the other things I just mentioned.
All right.
Thank you, Tim.